So I've been thinking, if you're Alex Jones, if you're one of the reporters for InfoWars, if you're heavily into conspiracy theories, you have got to be having a heyday with this whole Ferguson, Missouri thing. Especially since the Eric Holder and the feds have headed down there. It's got to be one of those things where you're going, hey, here's the proof. And I mean, think about it. You've got police overreach. So InfoWars is always talking about police overreach, about almost everything. I mean, in between false flag claims, they claim that, they're coming to get, the police are going to come take your guns, or the police are going to come and get this or do that or take away your rights. And then you have situations like this where rights really are being taken away because you have the right to peaceably assemble, and because of the actions of a few, you can't peaceably assemble in Ferguson, Missouri right now. And that ends up being like the proof that proves the exception for an organization like InfoWars, people like Alex Jones and the people who follow him, who listen to his show, believe the things that he says are true, and puts out there on the table. So what I was thinking, I was telling a friend of mine just earlier today that they're having a heyday, and this is how people get drawn in, how they get indoctrinated to the whole conspiracy league, where you believe the conspiracies that are talked about on InfoWars and I don't know if they're, I wouldn't call them competitors, but there's other sites out there, some of which make themselves look like very legitimate online news sources and have advertising and everything because they're doing well because they've got followers. And one of the things that happens, I imagine, is something like this, where you have a real situation where it looks like the government is overreaching, where it looks like, police shot somebody down in the street and then didn't interview witnesses that were saying, look, I know what happened and that police officer did something wrong. No, you get out of here. We don't want to talk to you. Which actually happened. People were on national television saying, I saw what happened, and the police haven't even they didn't knock on my door after the shooting. They didn't try to find me and ask me what I saw or if anybody saw anything. They basically let him lay in the street for 5 hours. All of these things are absolutely true, and they're all things that aren't supposed to happen. So here you are, and you've been walking around, sitting around in your house, watching the news on occasion, and thinking everything's hunky-dory, not believing conspiracy theories, and then one day you sit down and on every news channel that you've been able to trust up to now is telling you that all the stuff that you didn't believe in before. Maybe you had someone tell you stories about how there's a big conspiracy and the government's tyrannical or whatever. And you're going, that's a bunch of BS. That's not true. That's not happening. And all of a sudden you sit down, and for the last week, if you've been watching whatever news anywhere, depending on what you get as far as the only place you're not going to get conspiracy theories from is Fox News, where they're basically backing the police on this whole thing. So people sit down and they go, my God, maybe my friend's right. The one who's been telling me about InfoWars and whoever, and Alex Jones' predictions of what's going to happen. Maybe they're right. I mean, look at it. It's right there. It's happening. And what do I do? Well, now I'm open to belief. Now I'm open to the understanding, the belief that the things that people are just pulling out of their butts and saying but can't prove. And then, the typical thing, Glenn Beck does this, Alex Jones does this, others, they'll tell you, listen, don't listen to anybody else. Don't believe what the mainstream media is telling you. Don't believe anybody else, because they're going to lie to you. And you need to believe me. I'm the only guy you can trust. So once they get you sucked in, and this is sucking people in, it's got to be sucking people in. I mean, I just don't see how it's not. I don't blame people. If you've been sitting around and you've been saying, I don't believe any of the crap about what they say about what the government's doing, and then one day you sit down and you find out that a kid's dead in the street, and you literally if you watch the news, CNN, MSNBC, any of these guys, after 9 o'clock, about 9 o'clock, and sometimes a little time before, depending on what day of the week, or a little after, the police start cracking down. There's always some reason that they're starting to crack down. One night they said, well, they were throwing bottles from the middle of this crowd. They refused to move, and they were throwing bottles at our vehicles and at us, and we decided that it needed to be stopped because it was a dangerous situation. And then later you find out from people who were eyewitnesses to it happening that they were empty soda bottles, plastic soda bottles. How many of you have been hit with a soda bottle, an empty plastic soda bottle? I mean, it literally hardly hurts unless someone really chucks it at you. But if someone lobs it in the air and it comes down on your head, doesn't break the skin, doesn't leave a bump, it's annoying, but it don't hurt. And this was the reason to start shooting tear gas canisters at protesters. Why wouldn't you if you saw that with your own eyes? If every person that walked past that got interviewed was like, one of the cops called me the N-word, and then, 10 minutes later, one of the National Guard said to my friend, why are you here with that N-word? We're going to end up having to kill some of these, we're going to have to take down these guys from Ferguson, I think is what he said. We're going to have to take down these N-word. I just read a story just before, just a half an hour ago, and they had footage from their phone, because everybody's got a phone. That's something I've never understood, at least I don't understand now, is why police are always making these comments when everybody's got a phone. And this guy's holding his phone up at this officer, and the officer's like, back up, I will kill you. I'm going to kill you because you are in the street instead of on the sidewalk, is essentially what he meant by that. And he has them on tape, and the guy's been, he was taken off duty so it wouldn't be in Ferguson, and the local police that he actually worked for, the town he works for, I can't remember the name of the town, said that he has been indefinitely suspended pending an investigation, and he may be fired because he was holding an M4 while he was pointing at somebody who was had a phone and saying, I'll kill you. So those are my thoughts for today on the Ferguson, Missouri protest. This is Pug Weasel. Think about it.